Dr. Tamikia LeGrand, 9th President of the Prairie View A&M University.
Join us as we journey toward excellence, toward eminence.
You are listening to 91.3 KPVU. Excellence lives here.
It always has, and it always will.
Welcome to Advancing the Hill, the official podcast of the Division of University Advancement at Prairie View A&M University. This podcast is a space where we will celebrate the people, partnerships, and philanthropy that move Prairie View A&M University forward. Each episode will share the stories behind the impact, from students and alumni to donors and campus leaders, highlighting how we are advancing opportunity, excellence, and legacy on the Hill. So whether you're a proud alum, a current student, or a friend of the Hill, this conversation is for you. I am your host, Lorie Proctor, Director of the Annual Fund and Alumni Giving. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Advancing the Hill, the podcast where we highlight the people, partnerships, and philanthropy that move Prairie View A&M University forward. This limited podcast series helps build excitement and momentum towards PVAMU's Day of Giving, April 6th. Today, we're focusing on something that sits at the heart of the work, alumni engagement. Because before philanthropy begins, there has to be connection. In our first episode, we explored the role of university advancement and how philanthropy creates opportunities for Prairie View students. Today, we're focusing on something that sits at the heart of that work, alumni engagement. Before philanthropy begins, there has to be connection. I'm excited to welcome Ms. Phyllis Darden-Caldwell, who serves as the Director for Alumni Relations under the Division of University Advancement here at Prairie View A&M University. Ms. Darden-Caldwell is a proud two-time Prairie View alumni from the classes of 1980 and 81, and her connection to this university runs deep. Through her work, she helped strengthen the bond between Prairie View A&M and the Panther Alumni Network across the country, ensuring our graduates remain connected to the university and to each other. Ms. Darden-Caldwell, welcome to Advancing the Hill. I'm going to have to call you Phyllis. I'm not even used to calling you that. I don't even know why I went through all of that with Ms. Darden-Caldwell.
Of course you can.
I'm going to have to call you Phyllis. So yes, again, welcome to Advancing the Hill. So happy to have you.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to talk about alumni engagement.
Yes, ma'am. So let's get started with the big picture. So many people think alumni relations as simply as events or reunions, but much of that work is much broader than that. Can you share with us the role of alumni relations here at Prairie View A&M University?
Sure. Originally it was called Alumni Affairs. Mm-hmm. And one of the first things I did upon meeting Dr. LeGrand was inquire about whether or not we could change the name. Mm-hmm. And we kind of tossed around two names, Alumni Engagement or Alumni Relations. We settled on Alumni Relations, which I really liked because it's about building relationships. Mm-hmm. And not only building those, but maintaining those relationships. Starting with, as you know, we have a pre-alumni council. So starting with pre-alumni, which are students, mm-hmm. and then bridging that gap between students and our young alumni.
Yeah.
For relations, yes, we do events. We do quite a few events. But
quite a few? A whole lot. But yes, I'll let you talk. I'll let you share that story.
But it's also about making sure that they stay connected. That is, it's not just about them coming to events, about mm-hmm. them remaining connected, whether it's involved in a department or with their college, coming back to speak, mm-hmm, to mm-hmm. participate, showing up for activities, certainly our athletic games and things of that nature, but also showing up for theater events and showing up for our art exhibit. So mm-hmm. whatever is on campus, we would love to see people there, as well as when we are traveling.
Yeah.
So if we're in Tampa, as we were recently, or Dayton, we want to see alumni there.
You've talked a lot about what your team has been actively doing. And so sometimes we have to educate people about what that work looks like behind the scenes. So can you tell us a little bit about the work that you all do in your department to maintain and strengthen the connection between Prairie View University and the alumni across the country? Start with one.
That's a huge question. You mentioned educating alumni. I think sometimes as an alum, we tend to think we just put it out there and we do it. Mm-hmm. What we don't quite always understand is that we have to adhere to university policies, mm-hmm. to the system policies, to the state policies, as well as to federal policies. So we can't just do something just because somebody wants us to do it. We have to make sure that we stay within the university guidelines as well as legal guidelines. And also we have to remember that our students, we're here to serve our students.
Yeah.
And so we always have to make sure that we are keeping our students safe and recognize that there are some things we're not going to be able to do. And so when it comes to putting on an event, there are so many things that we have to do. We have to make sure that if we're bringing in some tent, that tent follows the proper guidelines. That is safety. That is safe. That is a certified tent. That is fireproofed. We have to make sure that where we're going to place that tent, that the ground is suitable for placing that tent. But we also have to look at who's our target audience and what kind of event is this and how many people do we expect? Because now we're including parking, we're including UPD, we're including EMS. If we're having food, we have to look at, we got to talk to Sodexo because that is the food provider on campus. It's just a lot of things that we have to do on the back end in order to bring something forward.
This is Lorie Proctor, and you're listening to Advancing the Hill.
Panther Nation, mark your calendar. Monday, April 6th is PVAMU Day of Giving. Let's come together and connect our pride to purpose. Visit pvamu.edu/Day of Giving and support Prairie View A&M University today.
91.3 KPVU, Prairie View A&M University.
Welcome back to Advancing the Hill. I am your host, Lorie Proctor, and our guest today is Phyllis Darden-Caldwell, Director of Alumni Relations. Just thinking about some conversations we've had in the office, another role or service you provide is that you do write a number of resolutions for Panthers who've passed on, and you've talked candidly about, the research that goes into that and making sure that when we're going to these solemn events that we are providing adequate, appropriate, correct information on those alums. So there's work to that. So we do appreciate you for doing that service as well.
Thank you.
So when we think about the Panther Network, who we know that Prairie View is probably one of the most passionate alumni bases. Of course, I am biased to that. Tell us a little bit about how, from your perspective, what makes the Prairie View Alumni Network so special?
It is because of that passion. I think most alumni who attended Prairie View are passionate about Prairie View because of their experience here. Most of us, certainly for me, it was a family. I still have mentors who were my professors when I was in school here. They're still mentoring me. I recently brought one to campus for an interview and made sure she got home safely.
Yeah.
But those are relationships that have been long-standing. And I expect them to continue to be long-standing. But there are also people who will pull my coattail and say, you shouldn't have said that, or you can't do that, or why don't you think about doing it a different way? And so for me, I appreciate that family relationship because I do consider them to be family. I mean, I think many of us here refer to Dr. Thomas Smith as Mama Joe. And it's because of her investment in us. So I think the passion comes from the experience that we gained here. My college roommates, we are each other's children's aunties. 4 of us are planning to get together in May. In May, we have a concert that we're going to. So we stay in touch. We may not see each other all the time, but we do stay in touch. We text on different holidays, birthdays, etc. So I think it's the relationships that were built while you're here on campus that feed into that passion.
So when we think about the passion that we have for our institution and the relationships that we developed here, how does that lean towards the participation in our alumni organizations, participation events, and some of the programs here on the campus? How do we go about strengthening that connection to ensuring that these things are long-lasting?
I think one way is to build programs that are outside of the box. I think the best example I can give is with our alumni pinning ceremony. I made a lot of changes to it. After watching it for a year, I made some changes to it. And the reason why I made those changes were to engage a younger alumni base. Because I do think a lot of times, we leave here and there becomes a disconnect. We return when we become settled in our lives We have our children, we have our marriages, we have our homes, we have our careers. And so within that, we become disconnected to the university. So for me, it was about how do we keep people who are leaving here connected? And I can even say for myself, I left, I came back for homecoming, but I was not involved with the university for a good 10, maybe 15 years. And it was because one of those mentors pulled my coattail and said, you need to be involved. So for alumni relations, we look at different activities and activations where we can keep not just the seasoned alumni involved, but our younger alumni involved. Because when we look at our target audience, we have people aged 22 to 102. And so we have to develop programs that are relative to each targeted audience. So we know that for our seasoned alumni, of course, we have our Golden Anniversary class activities. We're now kind of looking at what can we do with younger alumni. Well, that became part of what motivated me to make some changes within the alumni pinning ceremony. I didn't want that pinning ceremony to continue to be just someone standing at a podium and talking. And I was actually one of the speakers in 2017. And I'm speaking, I'm standing at a podium, and I could see I lost the audience. And it was because there was nothing that I was saying that resonated with them. I wasn't speaking their language. I wasn't speaking their vernacular. I was just speaking from my experiences. And by then I'd been out of school 30 years. And so I had to really take a look at that and decide, what do I need to do where they're engaged in the activity? Well, one of those was to bring back younger alumni to talk with them. And so we did that. We started bringing back younger alumni. We changed the format from someone standing at a podium to a conversation, because I started doing some research and I started seeing the podcasts that were taking place, the different student talk shows that were taking place. And so we made a lot of changes. We changed it to a conversation. We changed it to a talk show. We brought in a student DJ because we knew that they would know who that student was. That was a student that was DJing on Hump Day. So we knew it would be someone that they were familiar with. But then we also changed it in the activities. It became more interactive. We wanted to infuse, Marquis suggested infusing some of the traditions. And so we infused things like swamp. We infused the shuffles. We wanted to raise up the energy. And so even for the one that we're doing this spring, we're changing it a little bit more because of some of the things that we want to do.
And having attended and participated in the pinning ceremony over the course of the years, it's definitely an exciting opportunity for students to participate, considering that I am no longer within the age group of younger alumni. Seeing them there and being able to have those connections with the current students who are getting ready to cross the stage in the Baby Dome is very much impactful. So we thank you for making those additions to this program that has been around for quite some time.
Since 2012. And we haven't left out older alum. We've been inviting back older alum to come. And to engage. We also recognize that, I think it started in 2012, and before that, there was not an alumni pin. And so we invite alumni to come back, because during this ceremony, now that we're seeing more alumni, now we're saying you can participate and you can also receive a pin.
I rock my pen. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. This is Lorie Proctor, and you're listening to Advancing the Hill.
Panther Nation, mark your calendar. Monday, April 6th is PVAMU Day of Giving. Let's come together and connect our pride to purpose. Visit pvamu.edu/Day of Giving and support Prairie View A&M University today.
Hi, this is Lonnie Love, actress, author, and co-host of E's Daily Pop. And I'm also the host of Cafe Mocha here on 91.3 KPVU. And as a proud alumni of Prairie View A&M University, I'm asking you to support one of my favorite Houston radio stations, KPVU. Now, if you appreciate the diversity of the music played here and engaging talk shows like Cafe Mocha, make sure these programs continue. Make a donation today at kpvu.org. Your generous support will help us continue to bring you the relevant music and information you enjoy the most without limitations. Thank you for listening.
This is Dr. Tamikia LeGrand, 9th president of the Prairie View A&M University.
Join us as we journey toward excellence, toward eminence.
You are listening to 91.3 KPVU. Excellence lives here.
It always has, and it always will.
Welcome back to Advancing the Hill. I am your host, Lorie Proctor, and our guest today is Phyllis Darden-Caldwell, Director of Alumni Relations. Everything is about engagement and staying connected, but specifically to those alumni who have lost touch with the institution over the course of a couple of years, how would you say would be the way to start reconnecting with the institution? What activities, what do we have through alumni relations that they can really tap into to reignite that passion and reignite connection?
One of the things that I do a lot is I watch the professional advancement of our alumni. And so we try to highlight those. There are alumni who are doing great things, and we don't know anything about it. But I'm seeing it now on LinkedIn. I do see it across social media, but I see it more so looking at LinkedIn. But even with that, there are a lot of alumni who will tag me and say, did you see this? This person got a promotion, or this person is doing great things. And so I do appreciate that. And hopefully we'll be able to do more of that. But a lot of times it's just a matter of me reposting what's been shared, but also acknowledging them on their posts, congratulations on the promotion. But it also leads us to do a little bit more in terms of research. It was one of the catalysts for doing the Oral History Project, which will be a great, beautiful, wonderful book in the end. But we're also looking at who are these people who are telling us these stories? And let's look at, should we interview them further? Should we bring them to campus? Can we engage them in other activities? Can we connect them with a department? And so part of it is that. But again, going back to LinkedIn, one of the reasons why we were able to get Marcel Spears to campus for homecoming was about a year ago, someone told me about him and that he was on the show The Neighborhood with Cedric the Entertainer and Tashina Arnold, and realized this is a PV alum. And so then I started following him on Instagram. We brought him back for homecoming this past year, but we connected him with the theater department. And he did a session with the theater department, and he gave them some hard truths of what that industry looks like. We're bringing somebody else down. I can't announce it yet, but we are bringing somebody else down for the spring alumni pinning ceremony. It is a celebrated alum that we don't talk enough about, but this person is doing a lot of great things. And we will be doing some interviews with him, certainly KPVU Radio and KPVU TV, as well as the student program PVU Know. He's exposed nationally, but he's not exposed across Prairie View's campus. And that's what we want to do. And when we do bring him in, we do hope that we're able to set up some discussions with him and some of the classes, certainly with Mass Comm and theater and some of the other groups, because of his work.
So from your perspective, what role can alumni play in helping making PVAMU's Day of Giving on April 6th a success?
Well, certainly in the communication piece of it, of course, I know a lot of people have seen the different ads that are floating through all of social media, but I also think it's an opportunity to educate our alum. I think sometimes alum look at, well, you got this money from this person, you got 50 million, you got 61 million. Surely you have enough. What alumni don't always understand, because we aren't telling them, is how, why we need alumni to give. And that, those are great gifts. But we also know that when we go to corporations, they want to know how many alumni are giving. And those numbers matter. Certainly, congratulations to you. You have increased the number of alumni through the Alumni Annual Fund. So congratulations to you. But I think we have to educate our alumni on why is it that we need you all to give. Well, one, it's your school. And for a lot of people who pound their chest and say, I went to Prairie View and I'm a proud Panther, invest in the university. To me, it's no different from putting money in the offering tray at church. You give it because you love your church. If you love this school, you should be giving back in one way or another, and certainly through our dollars.
Well, that's a message for you right there. So, Phyllis, before we close out, I would like to leave the floor open for you to make any statements or any final comments.
It goes back to the whole giving back aspect. We talk about giving back in terms of dollars, but giving back comes in a lot of different formats. You can be a season ticket holder, and that's really nice, but let's see you at the games too. And that's at all games. I missed the softball games this weekend, and I hate I missed them. But I went to the PV relays, and I saw so many alumni who were out there giving back by volunteering.
Yeah.
And that's important. But certainly through the other athletic activities, we want you to be there. We want you to be a season ticket holder, but we also want you to come and be there and cheer on our teams. What I remind people is that students become alumni. Students deserve to be supported, whether it's through your dollars, but certainly through your presence.
Yeah.
I think of a student athlete, a student in the storm, a student in theater, whatever activity they're involved in. But if they don't see alumni there, more is caught than is taught. And so when they don't see alumni there, what's the motivation for them to come back and be present for the next set of students? We've got to show up. It can't just be showing up for homecoming, which is great. We love y'all. We want y'all to be here for homecoming. But you got to show up for other things. That's my last word.
Well, that was definitely a charge to our alumni to not give only with your treasure, but to give back with your time and your talent. So thank you so very much for those words. Phyllis, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing how alumni engagement helps strengthen the Prairie View community. The strength of Prairie View truly lives in the power of the Panther Network. We invite you to stay connected and show your Panther pride on PVAMU Day of Giving, which again is April 6th. For more information, you can visit pvamu.edu/Day of Giving. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode. And until next time, Panther Nation, keep advancing the hill.
Advancing the Hill, written and produced by the Division of University Advancement at Prairie View A&M University. Engineered and edited by 91.3 KPVU, the sound of excellence.